Okay, I don't know how the fuck this is gonna go, but if you guys are on Instagram, you probably know that we lost Cub this weekend. And so just want to jump on here and just talk about him, and I will do my best to keep it together. All right, well, for anybody that actually knew him in person would know he's probably the most positive person you'll ever meet. I've never met anybody as positive and uplifting as him. I think I met him maybe a couple of years ago. He expressed interest in joining the Cuts crew. That's our community-based graffiti crew, clean up the streets. And he really liked the mission that we had and wanted to be a part of it. And, you know, I liked his work, but when I met him and kind of got this crazy positive, uplifting energy from him, it was a no-brainer. You know, we put him on, and then we started to get to know him. And you know, it's hard to find people that you can say, okay, you have this job, and be 100% confident that that job is going to get done with efficiency and professionalism and all that shit. And I had never even painted with him, and I immediately got that feeling from him. And the first project we worked on together, you know, as a graffiti crew, the letters are usually the most, you know, important job, especially if it's, I mean, obviously if it's a letter-based project. So as a letter guy, I've always been kind of, you know, protective of making sure that the letters are done properly. And the first project I ever worked on, we ever worked on with him, I was like, okay, man, you got the letters. I already know you're going to fucking kill it. And I don't even have to check in on you or anything. And I had some shit to do. I wasn't able to be there for the whole time, but I was able to come back and check in on him. And of course he fucking killed it. I mean, he just did his thing. And he would ask me, you know, like, hey, what do you think of these colors blending? And do you think this is too dark and shit like that? And I was like, dude, just do your thing, man. Cause I'm not going to say anything. You know, he would, you know, he was doing a great job, and that's how he did it every single time. You know, he was very hardworking, very reliable in that sense. But, you know, in my opinion, I mean, that was a great quality of his, but and I'm gonna speak on my experience with him. You know, I know if you listen to the episodes, you know, he's on this growth path. So, you know, his past may not match a lot of the things that I talk about. So, you know, this is my personal experience. And if you want to hear any of, he's very transparent about his past and you know, constantly growing and learning and all that stuff. So anyway, I've never met anybody that is so fucking positive all the time. Like, it was almost weird to me at first. You know, I'm not a very touchy-feely kind of guy. I'm not, you know, I try to do positive things, but as far as like verbal, you know, communication, I'm not the guy that's going to come at you with all this really motivational shit. So when I first started interacting with him, you know, he's sending me these text messages in the morning saying like, it's a beautiful day, you know, stay strong, or you know, I could pull them up and tell you, but it was not something I was used to, you know, and I couldn't really reciprocate that kind of energy because it just isn't really in my nature. But you know, I appreciate it, and it's not something I've ever experienced, not something I've ever, having some technical issues. My headphones are tripping. So, you know, he's an interesting guy. And like now that, and so now that he passed and you know, the posts are going up and I'm looking at the comments just to kind of, you know, soak in some of that positive energy that people, you know, are posting things. And I'm seeing that he did that with a lot of people. So I'm assuming that anybody that he was close to, he was sending these messages out to people. And trying to get their day started right. And like, who the fuck does that? Like, I don't know. I've never met anybody that does that. And so, it's the unique energy that a person can bring to the world that, it's tragic that he's not here to continue doing that. So, I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this, but I just feel like we have to, I guess, this project was really important to him, and we talked about this podcast every day. So I really want to do my best to continue everything that we plan to do together, even if he's not here. I can't really stress how important it was to him, and obviously it is to me as well. But I mean, there's a couple different routes we could go. It could be like, fuck, it's never going to be the same without him. Of course, it isn't. But while it's cliche to say, oh, he would want this, when you say that about people after they pass, oh, he would want such and such. But I truly believe that he wouldn't be happy if we just turned the mics off and stopped doing this. He felt really strongly that, the work that we were doing was important, and the work that we are going to be doing in the future is important. And so I feel the same way. So I'm going to do my best to figure out a way forward and keep putting not the same, obviously, but keep putting out the kind of content. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So after we put Kub on the Cuts crew, and I'm sort of getting a taste for this, this crazy positive energy that I've never experienced from anybody before, I started kind of leaning on him for advice about things happening in my business. And so I started, he always had the answers. It was crazy. I don't know if you guys know anybody that's like this, but, I would have something happen with an employee or something, and or past employees, I should say. And I would kind of run it by him, and it seemed like he always had the answer. He would come at me with the most positive shit and really objective, and kind of knew what was going on. And I would share with him about mid-year of 2019. I had really made a decision to boost the sort of trajectory of Machine Studio and the work that we're doing here. And I set these gigantic goals that just didn't seem realistic, and so I shared those goals with him, and I said, I read this book by Grant Cardone called The 10X Rule, and he was talking about setting your goals, 10 times higher than you set them, and put in 10 times the effort and maximum effort and all these kind of buzzwords and shit. But it got me really fired up, and I was like, yeah, man, like I'm going to set these gigantic goals for Machine Studio, and we're going to do all these things. And I started visualizing and started trying to get myself to believe that these things were possible. And one day I shared those goals with him, and these goals, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but like they're really, really, you would expect people to be like, yeah, whatever. You're not going to do that shit. But when I told him, he was like, oh yeah, you're going to get there. No question. That was something he said a lot. No question. And he fucking believed that shit. I mean, like more than I did. He believed in what we were doing even more than me. And I'm the one that started all this shit. So as I'm getting more involved with him, and he's just throwing this fucking always positive. Like I really started looking up to those aspects of him, and he contained or embodied a lot of things that I'm trying to get to, and I'm sure I've talked about it in past episodes that like controlling my emotions is something that's like on my mind a lot. Like I get pissed off, I get frustrated like anybody, but I don't feel like I have the control that I want. But like I've never seen him get frustrated. I've never seen him get pissed off, even though he's talked about it. He's seen me get pissed off, and that's whatever, but, or maybe it's not whatever, but I'm just, trying to just turn on the mic, and I don't have a plan for this shit. So, forgive me if things are kind of a little scattered. But I just wanted to give you an insight on how all these things kind of came about in his involvement, because it speaks to the kind of person that he is. So anyway, I'm getting all of this positive vibes from him, and feels like he's got all the answers and all this stuff. Well, not all the answers, obviously, but I always feel better after I talk to him. And so I had been thinking about doing a podcast for some years, was really inspired by Legends Thursday and kind of their approach to things. And, the way Kub goes about it, he really wants to bring value to the culture. And that's something that's important to me. That's something we do at Machine Studio, with the Cuts Crew, with the Mobile Graffiti Yard, all these different projects that we have, Community Art Studio, all this shit. Like, I want to bring value to the culture. And I thought a podcast would be another kind of channel that we could do that. And I had actually started the podcast with the intention of interviewing people that had experience in these different kind of positive areas of, say, like mentorship, or different topics that I felt like were sort of unique to, I don't want to say unique, but just, I was just trying to find content that I didn't already hear. There's a lot of great content that people really enjoy, but I wanted to put out something that just was directly, almost actionable value that people can hear and hopefully pick up a couple of bits and pieces of knowledge that may help them in their lives and help better the graffiti culture. And as I started talking to Kub about it, obviously he's fired up about it, and he's encouraging me and telling me, like, there's a lot of great things that could be done with that. And through some conversations we would have, like, I would have some issues at the studio during an event or something, and this is kind of how our partnership came about in terms of the podcast. We were talking about a thing that happened at the studio, and it was basically the conversation that spawned our first episode, the Burn the Spot episode. And while I'm talking to him, I was like, this is the fucking formula. This is the formula I've been looking for. These conversations that you and I have is the shit. I said, we could just fucking turn on the mics and have these conversations. Would you be interested? And he's like, fuck yeah, of course. Of course he's interested. He's like a super positive guy. He's a fucking force for good. So he was on board 100%. So that's how our shit started in doing this podcast. It was just basically recording the conversations we already had. And then obviously, there was research that had to be done to come up with different concepts, like the mindset and, just different things, stoicism, all these different kind of things that we were both reading about and learning about. And that's how we started, that's how we teamed up and started doing this. So moving forward, I really don't know, what it's going to look like, but I am going to do my best to continue the work that we were doing and head in the directions that I feel like would be something he would want to do. And I'm going to continue to lean on him in the same way that I always did. Obviously it'll be up to my interpretation, but anytime, fuck, I got to pause again. All right, I'm back-ish. So I'll give you an example. I double, what is the word? I question, what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? Second guess, that's what it is. I second guess my shit all the fucking time, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well. So we'll record an episode and I'll listen to it back and I'll be like, fuck, I sound like a moron right there. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And there was one whole episode that I was like, I called him and I was all frustrated and I was like, dude, we got to just scrap the whole fucking thing. Cause I was all fucking heated up over something. It was like a perfect storm of too much work and all this kind of shit. And I was kind of being a dick and I was just like, it's just all over the place and it's this and that. And he's like, well, just let me take a couple notes and, and then you go ahead and play with it. And then if you still feel like it sucks, then sure, let's record it again. Whatever. That's the other thing about him. He was always just like, whatever you think is right, I don't think that really is relevant, but so anyway, like I would always second guess myself, and that episode was a good example. I don't even remember which one it was, but he gave me some notes and I went in and I chopped it up according to his notes, and then I listened to it back and I was like, fuck, man, he was right. Like this is good. And so that was kind of an example of something that would happen all the time. Like I would finish an episode or finish editing an episode and I would send it over to him and then we'd have a discussion about it. And I would just be like, oh man, I sound like an idiot here, or we should have done this or we should have done that. And he would just be like, always just reassuring me, no, man, just you're overthinking it and people are going to like this and there's a lot of value there. And I felt like he was always right. So what I was kind of getting at with that is that I'm going to try to continue to lean on him in that way where when I do second guess myself in the over the course of continuing this project, I'll do my best to think like, what would Kub tell me? It gets kind of hard. Hold on, I'm going to pause. Okay, I think I'm back. This is fucking brutal, but I plan to think, what would he tell me when I'm questioning my son of a bitch? Sorry. All right, I'm going to do my best to get through this. So what my hope is that if I think, what would he tell me in this situation, it'll help me push forward. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best. And I know it's not going to be the same. But as cliche as it sounds, I just feel like he would be upset if I just didn't move forward with this. I mean, like I said earlier, it's very important to him. It's very important to me. And a lot of people are finding value in what we're doing. So that's it. Okay. So moving on, something I want to do, and for anybody that was close to him, or I mean anybody, I want to do a page on the Graffiti Machine website that just has all kinds of pictures of him. So send in pictures to graffitimachine@gmail.com. That's graffitimachine@gmail.com. Any pictures of him or of the work that he did, or just anything, just email him there. Just put Kub in the subject so that I make sure it all kind of stays searchable. And if you have stories about him that you want to share, I think that would be cool too. And we're probably going to use those photos to build some kind of memorial thing for him at the studio, because it's hard to really put into words the impact that he had. He didn't work here for very long, but I don't even think I talked about that. But through the course of us doing more projects together through the Cuts crew and then starting this podcast, I actually hired him at the studio. And, that's another thing I could get into is, the sheer fucking good vibes that the guy brought here it's just never, I just don't know how we got by without him and how we're going to continue to get by without him now. or I should say how we got by before. I don't know, I'm all over the fucking place, but he just brought such fucking positive energy. And I got a couple of young guys that work for me, that work with me, I should say, as part of our team. And, I just always would catch them. Like, I'm a really quiet guy. I just kind of put my head down and fucking hustle. And not very social and all these kind of things. But, I would just catch them, like, throwing little bits of, like, just motivational shit at them, and just, like, kind of just throwing all this just same shit that's like on the podcast episodes. He'd just always be motivating these guys and pushing them to do better and giving them advice and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's just, and the impact that he had on these two guys, in a short period of time, it's huge. And like, I've just never met anybody like that. Like, I hope there are more people out there that are like that, but I just don't. Everybody wants to say the best things about people after they pass, but like, my experience with him, I cannot think of just anything that was truly negative. Like, there was a couple of like little things here and there that was like, hey, maybe don't do that at work, or I don't know. That's irrelevant, but. As far as like sheer positivity, like, I've seriously never met anybody that was like him. Like, and I'm not just saying that because he's not with us in the physical form anymore, but it's just the facts. I mean, if you knew him, there's just nobody. I've never met anybody like him. So anyway, I could just keep repeating that over and over again, but that's probably not the most interesting path. So back to what I was saying, please email any photos, any stories. I'd like to build up a bunch of stuff, and I could probably keep going, but I'm just going to keep having to pause. So probably going to have to pause. One thing, I'll be right back. Okay. One thing that he said in an episode, and I will cut it in here when I'm done rambling, is he said, and I feel like he believed this, that something beautiful can come out of any situation, even the most tragic. And I personally am going to do my best to make that happen for him. And my approach to sort of getting through this, obviously I'm just going to let the sadness happen and experience it and all that shit. But I'm keep putting myself back to pure fucking gratitude, because, I'm not grateful that he's gone, but the fact is, there's so many reasons why our paths may have never crossed, and I'm just truly grateful that our paths did cross. And God damn it, I got to pause. All right, I think I got this. I'm truly grateful that our paths did cross, and I am 100% certain that my life is better having met him. And I gotta pause again. Fuck. All right, I'm gonna try to finish this. I believe my life is better. My life is better. I don't believe it. It fucking is. Is better having met him. All of that positive shit that he threw at me is gonna stay, and I'm gonna do my best to make sure that I don't even know. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. This is fucking difficult. I don't know, man. I just thought, when I'm driving and listening to my head and thinking about all the things I'm going to say, and then I turn the fucking mic on and I'm like, holy fuck, this is not easy. So I'm going to try to say that again. My life is better, blah, 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 all that shit I already said. But I don't know what I'm trying. I completely lost track of what I'm trying to say. Oh, I remember. Okay, so he had said that something beautiful can come out of any situation. I'm pretty sure it was a Stoicism episode, and I'm going to cut that in at the end, the part where he's speaking on that. So my goal is to do what I can to make that happen, make something beautiful happen out of this tragedy. It fucking sucks that he's not here, but something good is going to come out of it. I don't know exactly what it is, whether it's somebody's life is going to be changed or a bunch of people's lives or some shit, but I know that my life is better having him, the time that I spent with him and the information that we kind of developed together and the information that he gave me. All of that shit is going to play a role in the rest of my life, and I am going to do my best to try to push that fucking out there to the rest of the whoever the fuck is listening. I don't know, like 50 of you or I don't know. I'm going to do my best. And the podcast is one way that I know how to do that. And all of the things we do at the studio. So I don't know. I can't really think of anything else. So please email that shit over to me, and I will leave you with some uplifting shit from the man himself. I appreciate you guys. All right, I'm out.
This is what I understand today, and this is what I believe in. Things will line up, and in a way that you never fucking saw coming. It may touch on that path that you're gearing towards, but it's going to be even brighter than you ever fucking expected. And, you know, and shit is going to happen. This whole lesson that we're promoting here in this whole way of life, you know, a lot of people will say, I look forward to being tested to see if I'm actually applying this to my life and in which ways, and not just traffic on the way to work, like in the real deal shit that happens. Like this week, as a matter of fact, like I lost somebody really close to me, and these things happened, and they're going to continue to happen. And I know silver lining is a very, you know, commercial kind of way to say it, but that's a very understandable and very universal way to kind of state it. How am I going to honor this person? How am I going to show that their life and their relationship with me and our bond was not in vain, and all these things that come with it, right? There was another example with that. Things that even opened me up to this way of thinking of things. And the other kind of program I'm running in my life is because of some devastating shit that I absolutely could have taken the other fucking direction. You know, we all can. If I understand correctly, that's exactly one of the main topics or kind of points they focus on, which is just that. And they put a lot of emphasis on meditating on those things happening and how you would react to it. So you do build up that resilience in that sense.
Yeah, so, you build it up like before it even happens.
Before it even happens,
yeah.
You project in your head, well, these, for example, losing people that you love, right? Things like that. And I'm not sitting here speaking on this from experience, because at this moment, I can only hope and pray that I'll act a certain way when those kind of things happen, though I'll never really know until it does. So I'm not discounting that either for those who have gone through this and how absolutely tragic and difficult that is. What I do understand from this is when you build up that resilience, when you really practice like that already happening, and you kind of project that, knowing that that's inevitable, just a matter of when and how and all those things, and how you will react to that, and where you're going to find like I guess silver lining is the best way to go back to it, right? Where are you going to find the lesson or the strategy and the benefit in how you're going to handle that situation, and how is that going to strengthen you as a person into the best version of yourself? So not only do you build that up, and it's not future tripping and really projecting this tragic day again and again and again, and then becoming anxiety and stress. That's not what we're saying. It's knowing that these things could and very well will happen at some point, and how you're going to react to it, and how you can be that rock for all these other things that are happening. Because if you can build that up, perhaps, again, I'm just speculating, perhaps all these other petty things in life that we take too seriously won't be so, and we can handle that in a better way. Taking that even further, if you take on that kind of mentality and you really start understanding and you're aware of that being a very strong thing to focus on, then your current situation, the fact that those people are still with you, perhaps you don't take that for granted as much as you might be. And you really realize how fortunate you are to have those relationships and have these opportunities to show up, to be present, to do these things. So not only are you fucking protecting yourself and you're kind of building that fortress for the future of like what could be or it will be, but you're absolutely in the fucking moment, like really taking it in for what it is right now.
Yeah.
So I see a win-win in that sense.
All right, good.
Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.